Okay, and I believe we are live. I believe we are rolling. Good evening, everybody. This is going to be my first attempt at making one of these videos. Welcome to Media Windog WaPo. My name is Sean. Today I'm going to be covering a few different stories, but that are all related under the same kind of umbrella of media accountability and credibility and integrity. So to start off, I wanted to give just a quick update on the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. For those of you who don't remember, Kyle Rittenhouse was the 17-year-old from Illinois, I believe, who was charged with shooting 3 people and killing 2 of them on August 25th in riots in Kenosha, Wisconsin. As you can see here, Kyle Rittenhouse, Lake County teen charged with killing 2 in Kenosha, is set for a court hearing this Friday. That's why I'm bringing this up, because this is the most recent update that we have. His court hearing to kick the proceedings off is tomorrow. Kyle Rittenhouse is scheduled for a hearing in Lake County Court Friday morning that will focus on whether he will be sent to Wisconsin to face charges alleging he fatally shot 2 people and wounded a 3rd during protests in Kenosha last month. That was August 25th. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse has a very specific lawyer on his team that I would like to mention. Covington attorney Lynn Wood offers to defend Kenosha shooter Kyle Rittenhouse. I believe they are Lynn Wood is helping to put together a legal team that is going to defend Kyle pro bono, meaning they're going to do it for free. So the reason that I want to mention Lynn Wood, the lawyer, or the attorney specifically, is because of this word right here, Covington attorney. For those of you who may or may not remember the whole Covington kid situation from a few years back, one Nicholas Sandman here is in the news fairly recently. This is from the end of July, for winning multiple lawsuits, defamation lawsuits, with major news outlets. And the reason that these 2 stories between Kyle and Nick are connected is because Lynn Wood is the lawyer, or the attorney, sorry. I always mix those 2 up, and I think they might be the same thing. I think I've talked about that before. I think attorney is just a fancy word for lawyer, but I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me. He's the attorney that represented Nick Sandman successfully, I may add, in his defamation lawsuits against the Washington Post and other outlets. So Lynn Wood is now, as I said, representing Kyle Rittenhouse in his case, in relation to the shooting in Kenosha. And I just want to read through this story from CNN Business real quick because it's hilarious. The twist ending at the very end is really great, so strap in. This is going to be fun. The Washington Post settles lawsuit with Nick Sandman after viral march for life controversy. This is from July of 2020. The Washington Post settled a lawsuit filed by the family of a teenager who is at the center of a viral video controversy, the newspaper and an attorney representing the family said on Friday. Quote, "We are pleased that we have been able to reach a mutually agreeable resolution of the remaining claims in this lawsuit," end quote. Chris Karate, a spokesperson for the Post, said in a short statement. Karate, if I'm butchering the pronunciation of your name, Chris, I apologize. Karate declined to disclose the terms of the settlement. An attorney for the student, Nicholas Sandman, also declined to disclose the terms of the deal. I heard a rumor that the settlement was for around 80 to 90 million, but since obviously it says here neither side officially disclosed the terms, that's just a rumor at this point. I know that the initial lawsuit that Nick Sandman filed against Washington Post was for $250 million, and they settled out of court so that it didn't go to the full legal proceedings and set a strong legal precedent against them, or at least that's my suspicion about why they settled out of court. So anyways, where was I? Nicholas Sandman agreed to settle with the Post because the Post was quick to publish the whole truth through its follow-up coverage and editor's notes, Sandman's attorney Todd McMurtry said in an email, quote, "The terms of settlement are confidential," end quote. Sandman celebrated the settlement on Twitter. "Thanks to my family and millions of you who have stood your ground by supporting me," Sandman tweeted. "I still have more to do." The settlement will allow the newspaper to avoid a lengthy and potentially unpredictable trial. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier. They're avoiding having it go through the full legal proceedings because apparently, and I just learned this very recently, and I found this very fascinating, and I don't know if this is the same in Canada or not. I imagine it probably is. But in the United States, apparently, legal precedent only gets officially set if the lawsuit or the case in question goes through the full legal proceedings. If they settle out of court, there's no precedent officially set down, which, again, this is my suspicion about why they settled out of court, because they wanted to avoid having a strong legal precedent set against them, because then they would be just opening themselves up to so many more lawsuits. Where was I? The judge overseeing the case previously dismissed the lawsuit against the Post last summer, but he later reinstated the case, narrowing its scope significantly. Sandman in 2019 became a national news story when, as a student at Covington Catholic High School, he was in Washington, D.C. for the annual March for Life rally. In a video that gained national attention, Sandman was in an encounter with Omaha tribe elder Nathan Phillips, who was beating a handheld drum and singing at the Indigenous Peoples March at the Lincoln Memorial on the same day. Another video that surfaced days later provided additional context for the encounter, but the first video had gone viral, touching off widespread controversy as photos of the teenager and the red Make America Great Again hat he was wearing spread across social media. In the second video, a group of black men who identified as members of the Black Hebrew Israelites were seen taunting the students from Covington Catholic High School with disparaging language and shouting racist slurs at participants in the Indigenous Peoples Rally and other passers-by. Sandman at the time strongly denied accusations against him, saying he had been trying to, quote, defuse the situation by remaining motionless and calm. This is actually a very good recounting of events by CNN Business, to their credit. I will give them credit where credit is due. It took them until July of 2020 to write this story, but they did a pretty good job of recounting the events here. Oh wait, what's this? Major news outlets, including the Washington Post, the Associated Press, and CNN covered the aftermath of the incident. Sandman also filed lawsuits against several other news organizations, including CNN. CNN settled with Sandman in January. The terms of that settlement were not disclosed. So, this I find hilarious, that CNN writes this whole great big long article. Well, I mean, it's not really that long. It's a very short article. Writes this whole article about the Washington Post settling for their defamation lawsuit with Nick Sandman, and then right at the very end just mentions that, oh, by the way, he also sued us for defamation because we basically did the exact same thing, and he totally won. So there's that. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, is my flux kicking back in already? Has it been an hour? Jesus. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. And I'm doing this pretty late at night, and I usually have that on to save my eyes, but I don't want that to alter the way that you guys can view my screen here. So yeah, here's where we're at with this situation. Nick Sandman sued CNN, Washington Post, ABC, NBC, CBS, USA Today, the New York Times, and the Rolling Stones for defamation and libel because of the way that they covered the story at first. And I believe he successfully settled on every single one of those lawsuits. So now one of the attorneys that so successfully represented him, again, is now representing Kyle Rittenhouse in his court hearing and in his legal proceedings. Because I don't want to get into the details of the Kyle Rittenhouse story on this video. I'll save that for another video that I should have already done a long time ago because it's well past the point of being relevant. Or almost past the point of being relevant now, but I'll save the details of that for another story. I can almost guarantee that as soon as Kyle Rittenhouse, or assuming Kyle Rittenhouse is acquitted of these charges, or whatever the legal proceedings are, there is a very, very high likelihood that Rittenhouse is going to turn around and sue these same outlets, the CNNs, the Washington Posts, the New York Times, for the same thing, for defamation and libel. And the reason that I have, the evidence that I have to support my reason for believing this is all of the other defamation and libel lawsuits that are currently popping up. Alan Dershowitz just like a few days ago, September 15th, 2020, is filing a $300 million defamation lawsuit against CNN because he said the network tried to destroy his credibility during President Trump's impeachment. This is from MSN.com. $300 million defamation lawsuit. Dershowitz, a former Harvard law professor who represented Donald Trump during the impeachment, filed a lawsuit on Tuesday claiming that CNN purposefully aired a fragment of one of his arguments to attempt to paint him as delusional. The clip in question is related to Dershowitz's argument that Trump could do anything he believed was in the, quote, public interest. This is the quote from Allen, I believe. Every public official that I know believes that his election is in the public interest, and mostly, you're right. Your election is in the public interest, and if a president does something which he believes will help him get elected in the public interest, that cannot be the kind of quid pro quo that results in impeachment, he said during the January impeachment trial, later adding, quote, for it to be impeachable, you would have to discern that he or she made a decision solely on the basis of corrupt motives, end quote. Proving intention in a court of law, really goddamn hard. But here's the fun part. In his full answer, Dershowitz noted that Trump could engage in a quid pro quo so long as the underlying actions were legal. When CNN aired the clip, it excluded his full answer, which noted that the quid pro quo could not include illegal actions. So now Alan Dershowitz is suing CNN, who is so famously just slipped in the very end of this article here that they got sued successfully again by Nick Sandmann for tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And now we're going to pop right over quickly to this story. Appeals court revives Sarah Palin's defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. This is from August 6th, 2019. So this is already kind of old news, but it's still fairly recent, and I believe there has been an update. Actually, you know what? Let me just Google that real quick, or look it up on DuckDuckGo. Sarah Palin defamation lawsuit. August 6th, 2019. Here we go. Oh, here we go. We have a court ruling. Awesome. From Reuters. A federal judge on Friday rejected the New York Times' bid to dismiss Sarah Palin's defamation lawsuit over a 2017 editorial she said falsely linked her to a mass shooting. U.S. District Judge Jed Rakoff, again, Jed, if I'm mispronouncing your last name, I apologize, in Manhattan, said that while much of Palin's case was circumstantial, it was strong enough for a jury to find the Times and former editorial page editor, James Bennett, acted with, quote, actual malice by clear and convincing evidence, end quote, in publishing the editorial. The trial is officially scheduled for February 1st, 2021. So there you go. There's the most recent update. So Sarah Palin is now suing the New York Times, who, again, was one of the outlets, was sued by Nick Sandmann, successfully, again, I might add. So the whole point to all of this, about bringing all of this up, is if you ever needed a reason to mistrust the mainstream media and some of the stories, if not all of the stories that they tell, or if not to mistrust at the very least, to take it with a very large grain of salt, this should be all of the proof you need, at least as far as I'm concerned. I don't want to tell people what to think. You know, look at the evidence that I've presented here and make up your own minds. Go and look up these court cases or these lawsuits for yourselves. I only very slightly went into the details of some of the court cases, or some of the lawsuits again, sorry. The Kyle Rittenhouse situation especially is quite interesting if you go and look at all of the available video evidence and all of the available evidence that we have at our disposal versus what the mainstream media and what a lot of the mainstream outlets said had happened. There is a pretty staggering contrast between the two things. So, again, I'm going to wrap this up here, basically. But, so, Kyle Rittenhouse, probably going to sue, probably going to win. Nick Sandmann already sued 6 or 8 outlets, won every lawsuit. Alan Dershowitz sued for $300 million. That's an unnecessary amount to sue for. I was watching a live stream the other day where a few litigators and attorneys were talking about the lawsuit, and they all said that the amount for $300 million was ridiculous, especially since Dershowitz apparently, or is allegedly claiming that the lawsuit is not about money and it's about just clearing his name. But I didn't fact check that part specifically, so don't quote me on that. That was part of the live stream that I watched. They said that Dershowitz is saying that, oh, it's not about the money, it's about me clearing my good name, but then he turns around and sues for $300 million. Like, that's kind of a weird look. So, anyways, but then, again, Sarah Palin is suing the New York Times for defamation. There's a decent chance it's going to court. Who knows whether or not she's going to win. But so, these media outlets, these major media outlets, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, NBC, ABC, they're all being sued like left, right, and center right now for defamation and libel. So again, I'm going to wrap this up here, but if you ever needed a reason to take everything that you see from mainstream news outlets, especially ones that have been around for quite some time, and especially ones that are now kind of floundering and are getting their funding rather than from their actual content that they put out, they're getting their funding from private donors and other like financiers and grants and whatever. It's important to follow that paper trail and follow that money back to see where they're getting their money from. That can give you a lot of insight into why they're telling the stories the way they are and why they're framing things the way they are. But other than that, again, if this doesn't at least raise some questions for you about the integrity and credibility of the mainstream media and the work that they do, I honestly don't know what will. So I'm going to leave this here. We're going to wrap it up. I'll come back again soon. You guys have a great night. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, go to my Facebook page, Media Windog Watchapeg. It's the same name. Leave a like there. I put up more posts up there, more articles and other videos that other YouTubers have shared, and I'm going to shout them out there. So again, go to my Facebook page, leave me a like there, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel. Everyone have a great night. I'll talk to you again very soon.